Hello everyone, I'm going to be walking you through my internship and some of the things that I was able to accomplish and just overall what I learned about my own self. So I completed my internship at Little Language Ambassadors. So actually Little Language Ambassadors is my former employee. This was never a choice for me or just not even in my plans. However, due to COVID, I didn't have a lot of options. So back in March, when I was still working for them and COVID started, we shut down. But the school decided to reopen on June 1st. I, however, declined to go back for my own personal reasons, but I did offer to intern with them, and thankfully they said yes. So I interned with them 1 week before their reopening. So there was a long list of things she wanted to get done. I mean, the list was I'm pretty sure 10 tasks. However, I was only able to get through 4 because you can only do so much in 40 hours. But these were some of the most important tasks, and I'm glad that I was able to help in such a big way. So again, I started interning with the school a week before they reopened. So one of the most important things to get done was to look through the licensing binders. So I just went in, double checked that everything was up to date, got rid of any really old paperwork, and tried to organize it as best I could. There was some really important information in these licensing binders, important personal and confidential information. So I took this task very responsibly. I tried to finish it as quickly as I could to get it back as quickly as I could. And yeah. So my next task was also to look for an app for communication. So parents are no longer allowed to come into the school. They have to just do a quick drop off and pick up outside. Therefore, there wasn't that opportunity for teacher-parent communication. So she really wanted to find something that was all in one. Not only allow for parent communication, but allow for sign-ins and sign-outs, allow for intake forms, allow for contact information, vaccines, paperwork, tours. I mean, everything you can name under the sun in one app. So I contacted Brightwheel and I contacted ProCare. Brightwheel and ProCare are two of the biggest preschool daycare communication apps out there. And we chose to go with Brightwheel because Brightwheel was actually the only one who replied back to me. But they were really great. And so I took in the first call. And in the first call, I asked questions. They gathered more details and information to see if the app was the best fit for us and how they could tailor it to our needs. The second call was actually a Zoom call. And in that Zoom call, it was just a really long demo. They kind of showed us some of the features and how you can toggle them and play with them and adjust them to your own needs. They talked about pricing. I mean, there was a lot of information in that one Zoom call, and it was really cool to watch my supervisor in action, just kind of how she handles the business side of the school. And then the third and last phone call that I was on was just kind of an initial setup. So how to get started, how to input the parents' information so that they could have it, send out the links, and so on. And then again, one of the biggest tasks that took most of my time was the pre-K graduation. From what I know, I've only worked for the school for a few months. They like to celebrate their pre-K graduates in a really big way, but because of COVID, the options were very limited. So we had first had thought of maybe setting up outside in a parking lot. I contacted a whole bunch of places. It was really hard to get responses back. We finally decided on setting up our own parking lot that we share with other businesses, and that was a really long process. But on top of that, I also took care of like making actual things for the graduation. So all those little starboard shapes that you see on the top picture, I created all of those. I created over 120 of them, and it took hours to make. I designed the actual like cutouts that were placed on top with each of the kiddos' names or school logo and just cute graduation pictures. And then I also assembled Father's Day favors because our pre-K graduation landed on Father's Day weekend. So on top of making stuff for the actual graduation, I was in charge of contacting vendors. So I contacted a whole bunch of vendors before deciding on the ones that we were going to pick for our event. So I asked questions, asked for prices, head counts, all that stuff, stayed in communication with them so that they had all the details they needed, made sure all invoices were paid. I also had to create a budget that I had to manage and keep track of to make sure that we were in budget and not going over it. The very cute cookies you see there, I was in charge of picking them up and bringing them to the event and so forth. I was also in charge of updating their social media. So for the day of the graduation, I was there for setup and breakdown, but I was also making sure that there was pictures of families being taken of the event. I also edited a video for the school to have and upload to their Facebook page. I forgot to mention that in order to get all of these people here, I needed to create evites and send them out. So I designed an evite, sent it out to families. I made sure I was getting RSVPs, answering any questions that were coming in, because parents had a lot of questions in regards to safety and how we were going to ensure that there was social distancing going on and so on and so forth. So the last thing that I took care of was our parent and staff handbooks. I just made sure that I went through them and double checked that basically the vocabulary matched, that they were both aligned and saying the same thing, just with their different discrepancies. And and then I also suggested that they do add in COVID-19 protocols because I don't know how long COVID-19 is going to last. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So I actually really enjoyed it. There was some moments of frustration, like it's life, it's gonna happen. However, I really liked working with my hands. I liked designing and creating things and reaching out to people and having this, like, for example, the pre-K graduation, this really big event that took a lot of time, of my time, come to life, and parents coming and thanking me for putting in so much work. So I am still really excited to at some point work with licensing, and that's my first choice of work. However, I can also see myself being a director or an assistant director. I also do really like working with my hands and drawing and designing and editing. So hopefully in the future, I would like to create some sort of product or book or something targeted towards young children that I created and I designed. So yeah, I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot about myself. I, again, can multitask and take on a lot of things and not get frustrated and just work really hard to tackle everything. So that was it. Thank you so much for watching my presentation, and I'll see you guys soon.